and welcome back to the channel, or if this is your first video, hi, welcome, thanks so much for joining me. If you don't know me, my name is Anna, I'm an opera singer and I'm also a trained life coach. This channel is a safe space. Over here we talk all things coaching, all things personal growth and all things mental health, and we also discuss predatory behavior on social media in the name of coaching. Today I have for you the next installment of my series on predatory behavior on social media. In this series I talk about the predatory and manipulative sales tactics used on social media in the name of coaching, how it contributes to the rampant spreading of misinformation, puts people at risk, and gives coaching a bad rap. Now, my goal here is not to call anyone out, but just to arm you with information so that you can use critical thought, recognize red flags, and avoid being manipulated out there. The first video I did in this series is linked if you'd like to watch it, and I covered health and wellness coaches. Today, we're going to be talking about spiritual coaches. I'm going to start with my usual caveat that I have absolutely nothing against genuine and ethical spiritual coaches. What I am against is the predatory sales tactics used by some in order to manipulate you into following and spending lots of your money on them and their services. In this video, I'm going to break down some of the most common sales tactics we're seeing these days from our so-called spiritual coaches. So I'm going to start again by talking about genuine and ethical spiritual coaching and what an ethical spiritual coach might typically do. Of all the types of coaching out there, life coaching, business coaching, health and wellness coaching, peak performance coaching, spiritual coaching is the least outer results focused. It's the least about setting and accomplishing goals. Spiritual or spirituality coaching is all about the inner work, and it's about answering life's big questions. Who am I? Why am I here? There would be a big focus on values, self-discovery, and finding your life's purpose. Someone who might really benefit from spiritual coaching is a person, for example, who might be finding themselves at a crossroads in life, experiencing major professional burnout. Maybe they've felt like they've lost themselves to their career or other obligations and is looking to rediscover their true nature and what they really want from their life. They don't know what they want anymore, but they know that it's not this, and they know that they cannot continue as they have been. And the coach is there to support them in answering those questions for themselves, helping them to identify what their values are, learning to tune into their own inner voice and intuition, embrace the entire spectrum of their human experience, find inner passion and purpose, and find ways to drop in and connect, for example, meditation and centering practices. So this kind of coaching really begins and ends with the idea that you have the power and the ability to create the life of your choice. And for that reason, it's also sometimes referred to as transformation coaching. There's not necessarily a faith element involved in spirituality coaching, but that's not to say there can't be. For example, there are some coaches who niche as Christian coaches or other faiths for those people for whom faith is a huge and major component in their life, and they might even use the Bible or whatever sacred text is relevant to that faith as a tool and as a guide. Again, of all the different types of coaching out there, spiritual coaching is probably the one that works the best alongside traditional therapy because it's all about self-discovery. The coach is not there to be a guru, to feed belief systems and dogma and give advice on what you should be doing with your life. They are there to support and partner with you in answering those questions for yourself. Speaking of gurus, maybe you've seen one out in the wild. It's likely to be a white woman wearing a flower crown, charging in angel numbers, performing light language and other spiritually enlightened jargon, and engaging in a healthy dose of spiritual gaslighting. No, that's not fair. That's an overgeneralization, and I do love a flower crown. But a flower crown does not a spiritual coach make, and nor do the following predatory sales tactics used on social media that we're about to get into. Spiritually enlightened jargon encompasses a few things and is the first major pillar of the predatory spiritual coach. Firstly, it's the upselling of pretty basic ideas and concepts by wrapping it in a spiritual language in order to make it sound profound and thereby justify a higher price tag. For example, channel divine downloads, unlock sacred wealth codes, activate multidimensional consciousness. All of which could mean that with this coach, or in this particular package or program that you have to pay thousands of dollars for, that you will be doing some journaling and some meditation. Nothing wrong with that. Journaling and meditation are the bomb. Big fan of journaling and meditation. However, a coach should be offering a lot more than just journaling and meditation, and they certainly shouldn't be charging you $1,111 for it. Which brings us to the wonderful world of angel numbers. Angel numbers is a concept of numerology that certain repeated numbers or number sequences carry special significance or spiritual messages. Many believe that if you see these number patterns out in the world, that a higher power is trying to communicate with you. Just a couple of examples. Repeated ones is sometimes believed to indicate new beginnings, manifestations, and blessings. Repeated sevens, spiritual awakenings, and repeated threes, a sign that you are receiving protection and support from the spiritual realm. Personally, I do happen to believe in divine messages, timing, spirit guides, manifestation, and the universe. It's not for everybody, and that's fine. Everyone has the right to believe in what feels right for them. I do, and actually, just last summer, I had a really beautiful experience on a walk when a butterfly landed on my left eye and stayed there for a while. Flew away again and then came back and landed here until eventually it left. And that was a really very special moment for me. My husband managed to take a photo of it, and I keep a printout of that photo in my journal because it reminds me that I'm guided and it's very special to me. Now, I don't personally recall an experience of seeing repeated numbers, but many people do, and as a concept, I find nothing wrong with numerology. If believing in concepts like angel numbers or butterflies bringing messages from above brings you comfort and helps you get through life's challenges in a productive way, then I say, what's the harm? Because that's what we all want, something to believe in that helps us get through challenges in a productive way. The way angel numbers have managed to find their way into the world of coaching lately is in pricing. And from what I can tell, it's a trend of charging for services not simply in numbers equal in value to the service being rendered, but in angel numbers like $1,111, 1111, or $777, 777. And the reasoning is said to be symbolic and energetic reasons both for the client and for the coach. Energetically attracting clients, infusing transactions with spiritual meaning, manifesting abundance by investing a spiritually significant amount. I'm going to add another caveat here that I don't believe that everybody out there who's decided to charge for their services in angel numbers is necessarily out there trying to scam or manipulate. I think it's just a trend that people have jumped on because the concept seems nice, it's visually appealing. I get it. I do think it's misguided though, and I'm going to explain why. At its very best, the use of angel numbers in pricing is a marketing tactic, which makes it performative and makes people more emotionally suggestible, which quite frankly is manipulative, especially when you pair it with over-promised results that working with this coach will apparently bring you. 7-figure income, manifest everything you've ever wanted, activate multi-dimensional consciousness. People may be more willing to pay more than they normally would, or pay without really understanding what exactly they're getting for their money because of what they associate that angel number with. Manifestation, financial abundance, protection. They're told it's not just a transaction, but part of something bigger spiritually, when at the end of the day, it is still just a transaction, and the other end of that transaction depends entirely on the integrity of the coach. At its worst, the use of angel numbers is a scarcity tactic used to pressure and rush people into impulse buying large and expensive programs and packages. This price of $888 is only available for the next 8 hours. After that, the energy shifts and the price will align with a new vibration. Or this is the universe calling you, and if you wait, the price won't hold the same manifestation power. This creates a sense of urgency and encourages a person to make quick, rush decisions without critical thought. Without taking time away from all the jargon and promises that give you that dopamine rush, to properly assess the value for money or even ask, can I really afford this? And instead just jump in. Okay, so one could argue that it's really similar to a limited time offer. Not that bad. Okay, yeah, it's a similar concept, but because it's wrapped in spiritual packaging, it sounds divinely guided rather than just pressure to make a purchase. We've heard of faith manipulation, preying on someone's faith to make a sale. God is calling you to invest this in yourself. Well, instead of God calling, it's the universe and the angels, and they want you to give this coach $7,777. Let's talk now about spiritually enlightened jargon as a method of confusion, overcomplicating basic concepts with spiritual jargon to make people feel like they need to keep learning and paying in order to understand. Vague, mystical, overly complex language in order to sound profound, exclusive, and authoritative. This is also creating a sense of dependency on the coach, and that they need the coach's guidance in order to truly evolve and ascend. This is a fantastic way to get away with giving no proper explanation for the services that will be rendered for the price being charged, usually until it's too late. Non-refundable deposit is paid, and in comes the spiritually enlightened fluff. Fluff like light language. Now, when I was researching light language for this video, because I'd actually never heard of it outside problematically on social media, I found out that it's believed to be a form of intuitive expression, a creative practice much like singing or chanting that can be used for personal or meditative use to help a person feel more grounded, connected, and emotionally balanced. It can be done alone, in private, or in a group setting, and is an optional tool that doesn't have any life-altering power beyond what someone personally feels from doing it. No supernatural power or ability to activate hidden codes or guarantee any sort of healing, transformation, or financial success. And I dare say that its benefit likely doesn't lie in being performed for views on social media. Now, I thought long and hard about whether I wanted to show any examples of it here in the video, and ultimately I decided it's not something I want to do right now. Aside from the fact that I find it extremely uncomfortable to watch, as I said earlier, I'm not here to call anybody out, and since I do find it problematic, that's exactly what I would be doing. I might consider it in the future, featuring things and making sure people's identities are blurred, but not for now. Fortunately or unfortunately, examples of coaches performing light language on social media is not difficult to find. Coaches performing light language to help you with just about anything from clearing your chakras to DNA upgrades to taking your business to 7 figures. Love a bit of income claim marketing. Used in this way, light language is the epitome of spiritually enlightened jargon because it is people performing on social media claiming to be channeling higher frequencies and beings in a language that is unintelligible, making it absolutely impossible to question, analyze, or measure. This is again placing the coach in a position of authority by making them appear enlightened, connected, divine, because they can receive these deep energetic shifts and downloads. And they can teach you how to do the same if you take their training. This is such an easy manipulation because, again, we're claiming to be doing amazing, incredible things in a secret, elite language that is impossible to check. Now, the other big problem I find with it, other than the fact that it's just so excruciating to watch, is that on social media, it seems to consistently be white women who are just appropriating their interpretation of some sort of indigenous or native language and calling it channeling or code activation. Maybe, just maybe, it's not divine. Maybe it's just more performative nonsense on social media that does more harm than good. So now we come to spiritual gaslighting, which is really the second major pillar of the predatory spiritual coach. And this is the use of spiritual concepts in order to invalidate, manipulate, or control. It's used to shut down critical thinking, dismiss your concerns, and make you doubt your own intuition and your own experience. Now, spiritual gaslighting is most likely to come in after they've made the sale. They've doused you in spiritually enlightened jargon, overpromised results, and now you're actually in the program and you have some questions, maybe even some concerns, and God forbid, want your money back. Girl. This is your ego talking, and you're really operating from a place of scarcity right now, and you're projecting that onto me when I've shown you nothing but love. So whenever you're ready to step into love, I'm here for you. Or maybe you're out of alignment. You're vibrating at a really low frequency, babe. They might suggest that you struggling financially is not because of the money you're spending on them, but because of a karmic debt that needs to be cleared, and that this struggle of yours is actually a gift. And if anything, you should be spending more money on coaching in order to raise your vibration and heal that scarcity mindset. Again, we have the coach positioning themselves as the authority, and now they're capitalizing on that authority by using spiritual gaslighting in order to tell you that your struggling is your responsibility, that your pain is a lesson, and thereby excusing their abuse and keeping you stuck in a toxic dynamic. The predatory spiritual coach might also be likely to threaten spiritual consequences if you decide to leave. If you want to leave, that's on you, but you're going to be blocking your manifestation. Maybe you'll also lose your blessings or fall out of divine favor. Preying on people's vulnerabilities again in order to create fear and dependence. The feeling that you need this coach for continued guidance. Particularly when taking into consideration the place in life that people who come for spiritual coaching tend to find themselves in. This is faith or spiritual manipulation and undue influence at its finest. Undue influence, if you don't know, is when one person exerts excessive pressure, manipulation, or coercion over another person, leading them to make decisions they wouldn't make freely. The influenced person might then feel obligated, fearful, or dependent, making it difficult for them to act in their own best interests. As I mentioned earlier, many people who seek out spiritual coaching have experienced a major life event, burnout, emotional breakdown, and are therefore especially vulnerable to emotional suggestion. So the predatory spiritual coach is really the ultimate wolf in sheep's clothing. Someone who's appearing as a shining light of hope and love, who's offering empathy, all the answers and everything you need to hear right now, and ready to take full advantage of that vulnerability for their own financial gain. Honestly, it's very culty tactics. They use empathy to tap into your vulnerability and identify what you need to hear right now. They overpromise things beyond your wildest dreams, like insane income claims. They use spiritually enlightened jargon to get you all hyped up with that dopamine rush that encourages you to abandon critical thinking and just jump right in. Position themselves as the enlightened authority so they can't be questioned. Isolate you from those who would be a critical voice, like friends and family, by telling you that they're low frequency. And then gaslight you when you're struggling or unsatisfied by telling you that you're low frequency or that you're in your ego, babe. Now, you might be asking yourself right about now, especially if this is your first video of mine, how is this possible? How is this able to happen? And the answer to that is because coaching is still an unregulated industry. You do not need formal training, certification, or a license to practice, like, for example, a therapist does. Anyone can call themselves a coach on the internet, which is probably why it seems like everyone's the coach of something these days. Often offering coaching on how they did what they did so that then you can coach others to do that, who can then coach others, and then we have something that very closely resembles a pyramid. But that's a topic for another video. The coaching industry's closest thing to a regulating body is the International Coaching Federation, or the ICF, and they have very clear ethical guidelines that include not feeding belief systems or giving advice, and certainly not promising or guaranteeing results if you work with us. No coach can guarantee you anything, let alone making 7 figures by learning light language. An ethical coach will also not try to keep you working with them by threatening spiritual consequences or gaslighting. Say it with me. The coach is not the authority. You are the authority. We work for you. I said it last time and I'll say it again. The point of coaching is to get you to a place where you feel confident and ready to go out into the world on your own, independently, and not constantly rely on the guidance of your coach. This is creating codependency and it's unethical. So my friends, beware spiritually enlightened jargon, spiritual gaslighting, and promises of results that seem too good to be true. No one should be rushing or pressuring you to purchase big, expensive packages without giving you adequate time and space to think about it. The coach should also be willing to explain very clearly what services exactly are rendered for the price of that package. How much of this is one-on-one coaching and for how long? How much of it is materials and what are they? What expertise do they have to be offering this coaching? All of these are very reasonable questions to be asking before making an investment, and I and every coach I know offer a free session to see if it's a good fit, ask questions, and not just a sales pitch. There is so much to be gained from spiritual coaching with an ethical coach, and if you have any questions, please feel free to leave me a comment or don't hesitate to get in touch with me. When it comes to social media, it's a crazy place out there. Everybody's the expert, everybody's giving advice, and everybody's got the answer. Take it all with a grain of salt, in my opinion. Use your critical thinking. Do your research, trust your gut and your intuition, and if something feels off, it probably is. There are fantastic and ethical coaches out there, and these people will be willing to answer your questions very transparently. All right, that's all I have for this one. I hope it resonated, and I really hope it was helpful. If you like this kind of thing and you want to see more videos like this, please consider liking and subscribing, and don't forget to click the notification bell so you never miss an upload. If you have any thoughts on this video, please leave me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. If you're here, you're in a safe space, please know that I believe in you and I believe in your infinite potential to go out into the world and shine. Until next time.